depression for me is when your mood is on a constant spiral down the drain.
The fact that someone is suicidal is not to mean the person is depressed.
A lot of parents are putting their children in toxic environments.
Thank you.
And before you know it, these kids grow up inadequate. These kids grow up feeling left out.
So
these
true.
kids grow up like, they even fall into the wrong relationships.
The more I relate with one people, the better I feel with myself.
Yeah.
Now imagine if I'm in a toxic or a harsh environment all of the time. So imagine all of the chips down. The person has biological defects. The person has bad social environment. The person has a very weak personality. What do you think would happen to that person?
It's another day, another time, another episode of your favorite feminine show, Omotè. Thank you once again for tuning in. My name is Ogaga Otaotu. So on today's episode, we're looking at a very sensitive topic. Yes, I'm talking about mental wellness and depression. So I already have my guests in the studios. To my far left, I have Priscilla Benjamin Olaoye. She's a mental health expert. Welcome to the show. Okay, to my immediate left, I have Yetunde Verissimo Fuma. I hope I didn't murder it.
No,
She's a media professional. Thank you so much for coming.
It's good to be here.
What is mental wellness? Or should I say illness now?
Okay, so let's say wellness.
Okay.
Because we have to say wellness because you do not know that a line is crooked until you put a straight line beside it. That's why it's important that we talk about wellness. Before we talk about illness.
So true.
So the World Health Organization has given us 4 basic parameters for you to say an individual is mentally well. The first parameter is that anyone who is mentally well should be able to realize his or her own abilities. You should know that these are my abilities. These are the things I'm good at. These are my limitations. These are my triggers. This is my end point. I can't go further after I hit this. You should be able to recognize these are my abilities. These are the things I'm really good at. Secondly, as a mentally well person, you should be able to cope with the normal stresses of life. So normal stresses of life, like, for example, we're here in Lagos, Nigeria, and we say the normal stresses in Lagos is like what? Traffic.
It's higher than every other part of Nigeria, actually.
We talk about normal stresses of life, like, being broke, like losing a loved one, losing a job, losing a child, having conflicts. These are normal stresses of life. So when we say normal stresses of life, there are things that are not related to just you. It means that it happens to everybody. So your ability to be able to cope with these stresses that are normal, means that you're mentally well. Number 3, as a mentally well person, you should be able to work productively and fruitfully. It means that when you set out to do anything, your everyday life should be productive. You are not just busy jumping around. You are productive. You are fruitful.
Yes,
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Your work is yielding results. Whatever activity you set yourself to do is yielding results. You're not just wandering around. You're not just, just doing stuff. So the last one is that you should be able to contribute to your community. If you're unable to contribute something to your community, you're not mentally well. You should be able to, and contribution does not have to be tangible. It doesn't have to be that you have pulled money together to put borehole in this community. No. We're not talking of things like that. We're saying that you should be a major part of a society. And you have certain roles that you feel. And the society, your small community could be as small as a family. So you have roles, you have social roles. Like, for example, you're a wife, you're a husband, or even if you're not married, you're a sister. You're helping out, you're babysitting something.
Your own little way.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
But when you're unable to contribute in any way to anyone's life, you are in isolation, you cannot help somebody do anything, then you're not meant. So these are, I haven't said anything about talking irrationally. I haven't said anything about stripping oneself naked. I've not said anything about what are the other things that we call mental illness?
When you get,
But these are narratives, these are stereotypes.
Okay.
So for you to be mentally well, you should be able to fulfill those basic four parameters. That's what mental wellness is.
Wow. Oh, thanks for educating us on that, because I actually learned a lot now, just in the few seconds. Thank you so much for that. What do you understand by the word depression?
For me, depression is that state at which you are not yourself. You're not complete. You're not able to respond to stimuli from your environment. When I mean stimuli, I mean, the joy, the sadness, the happiness. You don't respond at the exact time you're supposed to. When every other person is happy, you may be sad. When a person is sad, that's the point where you decide to be happy. So for me, depression is not responding to what is around you at the right time.
Okay.
Depression for me is when your mood is on a constant spiral down the drain. Sometimes the spiral may be fast, sometimes it may be slow, but it's just moving down the drain.
Please, in addition to that, please.
In addition to that, depression is a mood disorder. We have over 400 and something types of mental illnesses.
Wow.
And our diagnostic manual, it's called the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. We are using the 5th version.
Okay.
So the DSM-5 for diagnosis. We have over 250 something classes. Okay, for making diagnosis, and but because depression is the most popular, so like I would always joke, now that one suffer. That's true. That one suffer. Because it's not the most popular.
It's not the most popular.
Yes, it's not the most popular. When I say popular, I mean most occurring. Okay? Anxiety disorders.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay, and we have, and we also have personality disorders. Well, yes, because with anxiety disorders, we say that some of the symptoms mimic, and sometimes it could be comorbid. It could exist at the same time. Okay, and even with medications, the same medications we use in managing depression, we could also use it in managing anxiety disorders. So, depression is a mood disorder, and that's one classification. I said there are over 250 something classifications as to how it is being managed in the DSM-5. Now, depression is a mood disorder, and under mood disorders, we now have, let me call the illnesses, there are quite a few. I might not be able to call everything, but let me just mention maybe 4.
Okay.
So we have depression as a mood disorder.
Okay.
We have bipolar affective disorder as a mood disorder. Okay. So we have dysthymia. I mean, that's also another type of, mood disorder. But even with depression, we now have different types of depression. We have so of course it has to be clinical.
Okay.
When we're talking about the types of depression, we have postpartum depression.
Yes.
After having a baby, we have seasonal depression. Seasonal depression, yes. Some people, we don't have a lot of that around here in Africa, but abroad, when it's summer, people get happy because of the high sunshine and all of that, and then when it's winter, because the mood is low and all of that, so it's called seasonal depression. Okay, so you also have major depressive disorder, so that's another type of depression. So there's so many types of depression. All right, so some school of thought also believe that there's situational depression. Also would also talk about high functioning depression. High functioning depression is when an individual is, a lot of times, and that's why I wanted to contribute to someone with high functioning depression will not isolate, will not be sad, will not know. High functioning depression, the person does everything would take care of the children, would do all of that, but the depression is still. We oftentimes think that it's linear, meaning that because this happened, then the person got depressed. That's not how it works.
Are you serious?
Yes. So usually would use a model in talking about the causes. We call it the psychosocial model. I will break it down because of people who are watching. Now, we say that we are a composition of 3 areas. Biological, so there are biological factors. So biological factors, that's where hereditary comes in. That's where you say certain physical illnesses come in. You've heard of cerebral malaria, haven't you? So sometimes when our metabolic system does not function well, because of the high metabolic rate, it sometimes could lead to disorientation. And so all of those are biological factors. So there are biological factors and also when we talk about biological factors, aside talking genetics, we also talk about the fact that there are certain brain chemicals that are either high or low when it comes to mental illness. But because we are talking depression, and don't forget that this model occurs for different mental illnesses that we have. But because we're talking depression now, I will talk specifically to depression. So for depression, we say that the brain chemical or the brain hormone, we call them neurotransmitters. The neurotransmitter that is affected at this time majorly is serotonin and dopamine. So serotonin is a brain chemical or a neurotransmitter that regulates our mood. It regulates our ability to concentrate and just generally some of our mental coordination. So when the serotonin is low, naturally it does not have enough to perform its function. It's like having not enough fuel in your car. So when the serotonin is low, you cannot perform at the rates at which you will. Okay, so I said that this is a biological factor. And there are several factors that could cause low serotonin. Number 1, diet is a factor. There are diets that are high in serotonin, and we encourage people to take diets. And I'm sure we'll talk about that when we get to solution.
Yes, we'll get to solution.
Okay, we're still in course.
Okay, that's true.
So, so physical activities, for example, if someone continues to stay in redundant or isolated, environments,
So true.
it could lower,
So
could lower. So these are biological factors. So that's biological. Then we talk about psychological. So with psychological, we talk about the personality. There are different personalities. Okay, there are certain personalities that are prone to low moods. We have certain personalities that are prone to low moods and all of that. Now, if, for example, you break a news to someone, the person is able to absorb and handle it. You break that same news to somebody else. Because we're all not the same. We all cannot handle pressure the same way. Remember I said that mental wellness is your ability to cope with normal stresses of life. So when these pressures come, the personality of the individual to cope with these stresses, comes into play. So we have psychological factors. Mental resilience, or mental toughness. These are psychological factors. Now, the social aspects, I said bio, psycho, social. So the social factors, are things around a toxic environment. Things around the person's social relationships. How the person is able to relate to people. The more I relate with warm people, the better I feel with myself. Now imagine if I'm in a toxic or a harsh environment all of the time, where people are not smiling, people don't love each other. It's a harsh environment. So imagine all of the chips down. The person has biological defects. The person has bad social environment. The person has a very weak personality. What do you think would happen to that person? But when the person has the pluses, so two legs, so look at it like 3 stools. So if two legs are firm and one is broke, the 2 can still support. So that's how we look at the causes of mental. That's why I said that it's not because this happened. That's why the person broke down. You have to look at the 3 areas and find out what exactly happened here for this to have happened.
Wow.
So when you say relationship, it falls under what? Social factor.
Social factor.
I think I understand where she's coming from, because looking at my life experience, so to speak, I understand where you say the social factor and where you talk about the toxic environment. The thing is this, okay, lucky for me, I didn't have toxic parents, but I was around people that were toxic most of my life. So, okay, some people were like, she speaks differently. Some people were like, she looks different, or so I was on a spiral of trying to change myself every time to come, not knowing that effect
is destabilizing your internal
and then
homeostasis
tends to show. What I would want to draw out from the toxic is a lot of parents are putting their children in toxic environments.
Thank you.
And before you know it, these kids grow up inadequate. These kids grow up feeling left out. These kids grow up like, they even fall into the wrong relationship. So from the toxic, it now falls back into the environment of where they place themselves again. So
every time you hear when a girl has to do a chore, has to do anything, she is constantly being groomed for that. So when that time comes and nothing is happening, then everybody who's groomed her sees that there's a problem. Also, you would say to a young man, when you marry, you be responsible. Don't give him certain jobs because he never marry. When he marry, he go dey responsible. See you they chop this thing. Don't worry. When you marry, you will find a way that will cook. We say those things as subconsciously putting us under pressure because we are programming. So once that programming is out of line, the person begins to feel pressure.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. We're looking at how depression, when we started, we talked about the high rate of suicide in the society today. And most often than not, people fall back to, the person was depressed. Nobody knew about it. He didn't talk about it and all that. So how does this depression get to a level or get to a point, and before you know it, somebody's giving up. I can't do this anymore, and takes their own life.
Okay. So we have several symptoms that before you say that. So this research is what puts together symptoms.
Okay.
Because how do we know that when someone has body pain or eye pain and then fever, then we say the person has malaria? It's because research showed that it happened to this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. So it happened to a significant number of people, and all of them together then would say that so that's how symptoms come about. So as a result of research. So there are certain symptoms that come together that gives us the ability to say that this individual is suffering depression. And suicide is one of those symptoms.
Whoa.
So it's not a graduation of the fact that somebody is depressed then he graduated to suicide. That's not how it works. It's just like saying that how do you know you're having malaria, for example?
Pains, body pain.
For some other people, they vomit.
Yes, and high temperature.
Not everybody vomits, right?
Yes.
So how do we then say that, take care of your malaria before you graduate to vomiting?
Okay. It's a symptom.
It's a symptom. Okay. So it's a symptom of depression. It's one of the symptoms of depression. It could be present, it could be absent. It's not mandatory.
Okay.
And the fact that someone is suicidal is not to mean the person is depressed.